In this video, we are going to learn about how do we Dockerize Spring Boot application. So Docker is an open source a containerization platform where we can develop and we can ship the applications, and also we can run the application in any platform. Docker enables to separate your application from your infrastructure what you are going to use. So compare with the virtual machine. So Docker is very lightweight and it has a configuration file. We need to configure the required libraries, runtime environment required for the application. So any technology based applications you can Dockerize by using Docker. It's a most popular containerization tool. Let's get started with create with a simple Spring Boot application, and then we will practice here like how do we containerize it using Docker. So first of all, we go and create a Spring Boot application. We use Spring Initializer start.spring.io, and then let's create with a simple Spring Boot application. So I'm going to create with Spring Boot app. A simple application where I'm going to add a dependency, only the web, and then choose Java 8, generate the project. It is going to give us a template project, and let's extract it, and we are going to deploy this application into our workspace. So file import, existing Maven project, choose the project location. So this is the application. We are going to create a Docker image and then we will deploy into the Docker Hub. So let the project is getting configured with Maven dependency. So the application is created. So in this, just we create a simple configuration. I would like to just run it on, let's say, 8087 port, and then Spring Boot Bootstrap application, and let us create a simple controller. We write a demo controller. In this demo controller, we write one endpoint. So here I'm just giving a simple sample get request with a method called welcome. And in which I would like to just give this is a basic controller we are creating, and then just we would like to test it locally. Before we containerize, just we check this application whether it is running or not. Let's run locally. So it gets started. I think it is not set. In 8084, my system it is running with Jenkins, so I just changed it. Okay, 8087. local execution. Right? So this is the application we would like to Dockerize now. So to Dockerize any application, we need a configuration file called Docker file. So within this project, on the root path of your project, we just create with a file called, the file name should be always Docker file. And in this Docker file, we need to write a configuration required for our application, where this file should contain with the required runtime environment and then required libraries to run the application. So to Dockerize our Spring Boot project, first of all, we need to create our application jar file. We have to make it a jar file. So already we have done the configuration with the pom.xml, where we have a packaging style as a jar. So by using maven clean install, we're going to generate with a jar file. So let's create our application. First of all, maven clean. So it is going to create a snapshot file. Once it is done, we can create within the target folder. We have to create with a jar file. To get it created, we need to run with the maven command called maven install. So this is the jar file is needed to Dockerize our application, to create a container for our application. And this is a container is going to make your application more scalable to deploy in multiple environments and easy for shipping, easy for deployment. So here is a target folder, initially will be empty. Now if we go and check here, this is our application where our target folder is still getting, right? So let it create our jar file. By the time you need to check with, okay, your Docker installation. So let me go to the root path of our application. So Docker need to be installed in your system. So you need to download your Docker installer file. So that is Docker for desktop. This is a tool you need to download for Windows, Docker desktop installer. After it is downloaded, you just need to install. There is no much steps required in the installation process. Just you need to click next process, and then a Docker desktop will be installed. Whenever you wanted to start, you just go here, the Docker desktop, okay, and you need to start. But the thing is, Docker desktop is making your system very, very slow. It's better you use Docker instance from your AWS EC2. So just for demo purpose, I am showing Docker desktop in Windows. But I suggest like not to use this because it unnecessarily occupies your resources and it makes your system slow. So when Docker desktop is running in your system, okay, you could observe here. So your Docker, okay, icon will be running. So now if you can go and check in your command prompt, okay, just to check with Docker version. If it is installed, then you will be getting the version and you can start running with your Docker command. So here is your application is building success and it is going to create your jar file in the target folder. Right, this is the Docker version is showing here, and then we can start creating our Dockerization. So to create your Docker container, first of all, we need a configuration file in our project, I said, right? So this is a Docker file where we need to write a piece of configuration called the required runtime environment, and then this is the JDK 8 we are going to use for running your code, source code, what you have for your project. And then the jar file which is created in the target, you need to give your jar file name, because by making use of that jar itself, it is going to create an image for your project. So here, if you go here, you can see the app is get created. So this is the file name you need to give into your config file, means this is Docker file. So let's give the file name of your jar. So this is going to copy it from here, and it will copy the same jar file into your Docker container, and this is for execution. Okay, everywhere you need to give your, okay, whatever project name you have given, okay, accordingly the jar is created. That is the jar file name you need to copy. Once this is done, save this file. Now first step you have to do is you need to, okay, so after writing this configuration file, first step you have to do is you need to build a Docker image for your project. So go to your project path where you have created your Docker file. You can observe here. Then give this command: Docker image build hyphen t and your app name. So what is the app name you would like to give here, right? So the application name you would like to give here called Spring Boot app, right? So now it is going to build an image for you. So once the image is created, you can observe the Docker log. It is going to make use of the steps you created into Docker file by making use of your OpenJDK, okay, library. It is going to build your image, which is a lightweight and which can be easily ported. So Docker image is created once, it is going to be a template for your project so that it is easy for shipping. So Docker image is built. Now if you wanted to check Docker images, see here the recently created Docker boot image you can observe here. So Spring Boot app is your image name. This is an image ID and the creation time, the size of your image, right? This is how the image is created. The next step is to make it executable. Your image is just a template. To make it a runnable instance for your application, you need to create a container. So to create a container for your Docker image, okay, Docker container run hyphen hyphen name. Here in whichever the port you wanted to run your application, you need to give Docker internal port and external port. So we are going to give our project name, our container name as Spring Boot app. Port is 8088 internal and the other one is external port. And then you are going to give your image name Spring Boot. By making use of your Spring Boot image name, okay, it is going to create your container. Docker container run hyphen hyphen name Spring Boot hyphen app. So it is saying that port is already allocated, right? So what you can do is you can just change the port number. You can just change the port number here. 89 because 88 is running with other port, other container. So just we change the port number. So let us check with the container created. Docker PS is going to show you whether it is created or not. Yes, it is created. It is giving a port conflict, but your container is created. So your image got created. Docker PS is a command which will show you the runnable instances. Okay, and the Docker images will show you the templates for your project. This is the template which is a Docker image, and this is a Docker container which are running instances. So your Docker container is created, and then you have created your image. Now you just wanted to check whether your application is running or not. So Docker container logs and your app name, right? So let's go here and check Docker container logs and your app name, means your container name. So Spring Boot. So now here is the logs you can check. So here your container is running. Now if you wanted to check with your container ID and container name, so this is a Spring Boot app and this is your container ID created. So now this is way you are going to create with your application, and you are going to containerize it. Then what are we going to do with this container so that it can be moved to any other platform or any other environment? So in that case, you need to create a tag for your application. So to create a tag, first of all, okay, you must have your Docker Hub. You can check with the hub.docker.com, where you must have a Docker account, right? You must have a Docker account, and here in your project, just you can check with the Docker login, so that it will cross check your credential, which is the Docker user is going to use your application. Login succeeded. Now what you wanted to do is, here is the Docker containers you have called, okay, this is a container you have, and the Docker images you wanted to push to your Docker Hub. This is the image you wanted to push to your Docker Hub. To push your image to the Docker Hub, you need an image ID. Copy this image ID, and then you just need to create your, okay, username is your account details, and then is your image name is Spring Boot app, and then tag is you can give any tag, so that it is going to create a tag for your application. So once the Docker tagging is done, now you are ready to push to your Docker Hub. So to push the image to your Docker Hub, you just give the command docker push and your repository, your account details and your app name, so that you are able to push your code. Docker push, okay, give your account and then your Spring Boot app and your tag is related. Now it started mounting your code, and then it is started pushing your code from your local repository to your Docker Hub, so that once it is available, this image is available in your Docker Hub, it is easy to pull to any other platform in any other machine. So that is how you can Dockerize your applications, and you can share with any other system by using your containerized application. The main benefit of this containerization is, we are going to provide the configurations as part of our config file called Docker file. we provide the environment, runtime environment, libraries required for the application, so that once it is image is created, you can run it anywhere without any dependency for your platform. That's the main advantage. And further, it has many features like scalability. Further, container orchestration can be implemented with other tools like Docker Compose, Docker Swarm, and then we can also use with Kubernetes. So this is all about one simple Spring Boot application to create a local container and then push to a Docker Hub. Now if we go here and if we can check, so we will be created one with the Spring Boot app. So that if anybody wanted to uh, take this application and run into their system, if you can share your image name. So this is once it is uploaded into your Docker Hub, you can share your just image name so that in their system just they can run with Docker pull command. Once the Docker push is successfully completed, where we are going to push from local system to your Docker Hub, which is one of a cloud service to share your images, then you can use with a Docker pull. So that now it is easy to pull your image to any other system.